Welcome to Insectech's Ethical Hacking course videos, module Scanning and Enumeration. In this video, we will look at Introduction to Scanning, various types of scanning, mastering Nmap tool, operating system and service enumeration with Nmap, Angry IP scanner, and finally couple of demonstrations of how we can scan the targets. Scanning is also known as active information gathering. If you consider the first step, that is also about gathering information about the target, but in the first step we will try to gather all the possible information just by using the publicly available information. But in scanning, we will try to directly contact the target to gather the information about it. The objective of scanning step is to find out the active IP addresses in a range and to find out the type of operating system that the target is using and what are the ports that are opened on the target and what are the services the target is running. So these are the few objectives to use scanning. And we have three types of scanning basically. One is port scanning. This is used to find out all the possible open ports on the target. Network scanning is to identify the active hosts on a network. And finally, vulnerability scanning is used to find out the vulnerabilities on the target. If you take a web application or if you take a web server, vulnerability scanning is to find out the loopholes that are existing on that target. Now let us try to understand how to use Nmap tools in an efficient way. To scan a single system using Nmap, before actually starting this, Nmap is a great tool for scanning, and especially that is for finding open ports and what is the type of operating system the target is using and what are the hosts that are alive in the network. To find out all this kind of information, Nmap is the very best tool, and every penetration tester must have this tool Nmap. We will see how to use this Nmap tool, which is already there in Backtrack. And to scan a single system using Nmap, this is the command nmap space the IP address or the target's host name. So this is how we can scan a single system. I'll show a simple example of how we can do that. I'm just logging in. And I have my Backtrack instance. Let me ping the Windows XP machine. Sorry. This is 102. Awesome. Now these two are in a network. So let me fire up my Nmap. I'm just going to use the command line version. Nmap the target 192.168.56.102. So now Nmap is starting its scan. It takes some time because Nmap works by sending some packets to the target, and based on the responses it is getting from the target, it will decide what are the ports that are opened and what are the services that are being run on the target system. And this is the report after scanning this particular system, and these are the ports that are opened: 23, 135, 139 and 445. And it is also displaying the MAC address of the target system. Now this is how we can use a simple Nmap tool. And this is the simple way of using Nmap tool. But Nmap is a great tool if you use it efficiently, you can get a lot of results about your target. So let us quickly go back to a presentation and let's explore the rest of the things. We have another option, scanning multiple systems. If you want to scan multiple systems, you can just specify the IP addresses or host names of the targets you want to scan. Similarly, if you want to scan the entire subnet, you just have to give its address. Similarly, if you want to scan a list of IP addresses which are there in a text file, you can simply use nmap-I capital L and the file name, and we have to make sure that the file target.txt should be there in the nmaps directory. And we can scan a specific port on the target by using this command nmap-p, the port number, whatever the port number you want, 80, 21, 23, 25, whatever the port number you want, you can specify it, and you can specify the IP address of the target here, and you can simply scan it. And even we can scan a range of IP addresses, but not the whole subnet. I don't want to scan the whole subnet, but I want to scan right from my IP address till 50. So it will scan all these IP addresses. So these are very basics about Nmap. Now let us try to understand how we can use Nmap very effectively. There are a couple of types of scanning techniques. Before understanding them, let us try to understand what is three-way handshake. If we have two systems, in order for these two systems to communicate, they have to establish a connection. To establish the connection, first client will send SYN packet to the host, and host will reply with SYNACK packet. And the third step is the client will reply back to the host by sending this ACK packet. Once if these three packets are exchanged, now it establishes a TCP connection, and this is called three-way handshake. And the Nmap works based on this handshake process. Nmap tries to send some packets to the target, and based on the responses it is getting, it will decide what are the ports open, what are the services that are being run on the target system, and so on. Now let us try to understand a few Nmap scan techniques. The first one is TCP connect scan, or this is also called as full open scan. It completes the normal TCP three-way handshake process just now we have seen. It means this particular TCP connect scan works based on TCP three-way handshake process, and it requires the system call which is connect off. To understand the information about the target, it uses the system call connect. If the port is open, this connect command will work, else this command connect command will be unreachable. This is how this TCP connect technique works. And the disadvantage of this particular TCP connect scan is it can find only TCP ports but not UDP ports. And this is the default scan technique for Nmap. Now let us try to understand how we can use this TCP scan technique. 192.168.56.102, and the switch is -s capital T. Now Nmap is starting. It is taking time. Yes, it's done. Now this is how it works, and if you observe, almost the two results are same. So by default it is taking TCP connect scan. So we can clearly say that Nmap is by default taking TCP connect scan even if we don't specify it externally. So this is how TCP connect scan works. And now let me quickly go back to my presentation. And the next type of scan technique is Sin stealth scan. This is also called half open scan. This Sin stealth scan is known as half open scan because it doesn't establish a full TCP handshake with the target system, and it doesn't create any session on the target, so that the logs will not be created on the target system. That the scans that we are performing, that relate associated logs will not be logged on the target system. This is the advantage with this Sin stealth scan, and usage is nmap-s capital S target. Let us try to do that. 192.168.56.102. Now let us wait for the results. Awesome. It has given all the open ports and the services that are being run on those particular ports. So this is how we can use Sin stealth scan. Let me go back to my presentation, and the next one is UDP scanning. As we discussed in TCP connect scan, it can be used only for TCP ports. If you want to scan for UDP ports, you can use this UDP scanning. So it doesn't require any SYN packet to be sent. Since we are not going to scan any TCP ports, it doesn't require any SYN packet. And this works by sending UDP packets to the target machine and waits for a response. And if the port is closed, it will send an ICMP unreachable error, so that this particular scan technique will decide that this particular port is closed, and if it is not getting any error from that, if it is getting a positive response, then it will decide that that particular port is opened. Let us try to understand how it works. nmap-su taking time again. Let us wait. Awesome. It is displaying all the UDP ports that are open on the target system. One is 4500, 1900, NTP, NetBIOS, and MAC address as well. So this is how we can scan for the open UDP ports. So let us quickly go back to a presentation. The next scan technique is Fin stealth scan. It is very interesting scan technique and also very important one. If the target is behind a firewall and if it is blocking SYN packets, this particular scan technique will send data packets with Fin flag set. So if the port is open, it would not send any data packet back, while if it is closed, it will reply back with a Fin packet, so that we will come to know that this particular port is open. This is very efficient if the target is behind a firewall and if it is not allowing you to send SYN packets to the target. And to use this command, you can simply type nmap-s capital F target's IP address. And the next scan technique is ping scan. It is used to find out whether the host is alive or not, and it doesn't show you any results like this particular port is opened, this particular port is not open. We will not get that kind of information. It is just to check whether the live host is alive or not. Let's quickly go back to our backtrack instance and let us check that. this will send a ping request to the target, and if it gets any response from the target, it will show that host is up. And you can clearly observe it is not showing any ports that are opened. So this is just to test whether the host is up or not. And let's quickly go back to our presentation again. The next scan technique is idle scan. It is very important scan technique and very interesting one. We can perform anonymous scanning using this idle scan technique. We have a target network and we are going to scan one system in the target network. We can spoof our IP address by using some other host's IP address in the same target network. Here, this is the command we have to use: nmap-si zombie host and target host. Zombie host is the spoofed IP address and target host is the IP address you want to scan. And this is one more interesting scan technique with nmap. We can find out the version of the target, and this technique is used to find out what software version is running on the target computer and on the respective ports. If you have 3 open ports, this particular version detection technique will tell you what are the services that are running on the open ports. Let us have a quick demonstration of the same. nmap-s capital V great. This particular -sv switch is to find out the version details. It is taking time again. Great. You can see port number 23 is opened and this is running a service telnet, and the version of this service is this, and similarly it is displaying the version of MSRPC port, which is 135. And this is how we can find out the version details of the target services. This particular version details will come handy when if the particular version is vulnerable to some particular exploit. We can simply download the exploit and we can exploit the target system. Let us quickly go back to presentation. And the next one is operating system detection. Nmap can find out the remote operating system types and version. It maintains a database of operating system with the name nmap-os-db, and this particular scan technique sends TCP and UDP packets to the target machine, and then it examines the responses by comparing the result with the database it has. Now, to find out the OS specific details, we can simply use the switch -o, which is capital O, and this is sending some packets. Great. Now first it has listed out the ports and the device type, whether it is a router, whether it is a computer system, or what is the type of the device it shows, and it is running Microsoft Windows XP, and the operating system details along with the version Windows XP Service Pack 2 or Service Pack 3, and the network distance in hops. This is in a distance of 1 hop, and this is how we can find out the operating system details of the target. But in this particular scan technique, we have a disadvantage that this particular nmap-o will ping the host, remote host, and if the firewall is blocking ping requests, it will not work. So we'll assume that the host is already up, and we'll ask nmap not to ping the target host, so that it will not ping, and it will assume that it is already alive, and it will send the packets, so that the firewall will not be able to detect the ping requests. In this case, results will be the same except sending the ping request. Great. Results are very similar, but it is always suggested to use -pn flag before actually finding out the operating system specific details. So let us quickly go back to our presentation. That's all with this nmap scanner. Now let us look at Angry IP scanner. Angry IP scanner is a very good scanner. It can scan IP addresses in any range. It is cross platform and it is lightweight. There is no need of installation. We can simply download it and we can run it. And if you are comfortable with Java language, you can even add your plugins to extend the functionality of your Angry IP scanner. And Angry IP scanner simply pings each IP address to check if it is alive. Then optionally it resolves the host name and determines the MAC address, scans ports, and many things. We can even add our own plugins, which we can write the plugins in Java and we can add our own plugins. And this is how Angry IP scanner works. Let us look at a small demonstration of how we can work with Angry IP scanner. Now I'm just going to give my specific IP range to scan what are the IP addresses that are alive. And I want to scan till 60.60. So let me start the scan. Before starting the scan, I just want to change the settings of this Angry IP scanner. So I'm just stopping the scan. Great. Before stopping itself, it found one IP address, which is my host, which is my router's IP address, and I want to go to settings. I want to display all the hosts with open ports only, but not all the scanned hosts. So this is okay. So let me start it. Discard. It is now scanning all the IP addresses between 192.168.1.0 and 192.168.60.60, and it will list out all the IP addresses that are alive, which are responding to its ping request. And this is the first IP I got, 192.168.1.1, which is my router's IP address. It has sent a simple ping request and the router has responded along with the ping to the ping request, and it is displaying that it is alive. Great. It has found one more IP address, which is 192.168.1.100, which is, and it has also resolved the host name, which is Dell PC, which is my laptop. So this is how Angry IP scanner can send ping requests to the IP addresses, and it can get the responses, and it will display all the results with the live hosts. So this is how we can use Angry IP Scanner. That's all with this video. Thank you.